Is 42 the one that's on the board? Yes. Okay, good. Tam Ghoda Jashchurita Kuntala Baddha Bardha Vanya Prasurna Ruchirekshana Charuhasam Venum Kwanantamanugar Upagita Kirtim Venum Kwanantamanugar Upagita Kirtim Gopyo Didrikshita Drisho Bhagaman Sameta Tam Goda Jaschurita Kundala Bhadha Bardha Vanya Prasuna Ruchirekshana Charuhasam Venum Kwanantamanugar Upagita Kirtim Gopyo Didrikshita Drisho Bhagaman Sameta Tam Goda Jaschurita Kuntala Badha Badha Vanya Prasuna Ruchirekshana Charuhasam Venum Kwanantam Anugar Upagita Kirtim Gopyo Didrikshita Drisho Bhagaman Sameta. Please chant. Tam Goda Jaschurita Kuntala Badha Badha Vanya Prasuna Ruchirekshana Charuhasam Venum Kwanantam Anugar Upagita Kirtim Gopyo Didrikshita Drisho Bhagavan Sameta. Tam Goda Jaschurita Kuntala Bodha Badha Vanya Prasuna Ruchirekshana Charuhasam Venum Kwanantam Anugar Upagita Kirtim Gopyo Didrikshita Drisho Bhagavan Sameta. And the word for word, Tam, him. Go Raja, with the dust raised by the cows. Churita, smeared. Kuntala, within his locks of hair. Buddha, placed. Bodha, a peacock feather. Vanya prasuna, with forest flowers. Ruchira ikshana, charming eyes. Charu hasam, and a beautiful smile. Venum, his flute. Kwanantam, sounding. Anugai, by his companions. Upagita, being chanted. Kirtim, his glories. Gopya, the gopis. Didrikshita, eager to see. Drisha, their eyes. Abhyagamam, came forward. Sameta, in a body. The translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Krishna's hair, powdered with the dust raised by the cows, was decorated with a peacock feather and forest flowers. The Lord glanced charmingly and smiled beautifully, playing upon his flute, while his companions chanted his glories. The gopis, all together, came forward to meet him, their eyes very eager to see him. And the purport also by the disciples of His Divine Grace. Superficially, the gopis were young married girls, and therefore they would naturally be ashamed and fearful of casting loving glances at a beautiful young boy like Sri Krishna. But Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all living beings are His eternal servants. Thus, the gopis, although the most pure-hearted of all great souls, did not hesitate to come forward and satisfy their love-struck eyes by drinking in the sight of beautiful young Krishna. The gopis also relished the sweet sound of his flute and the enchanting fragrance of his body. Om Gyana Timidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindha Dina Bandha Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhevcha Patitanam Pavanebhya Vaishnavebhya Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So it's really nice to be back. I was gone for 5 days, and I wasn't around devotees at all. And that was actually the first time in 4 years that I've been separated from Vaishnav Sangha for more than a plane ride. So maybe 36 hours at a stretch. And I didn't realize that it would be such a drastic change until I found myself in it. And so I'm really thankful to be here and to be amongst all of you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, or rather tolerating my speaking on such a thing as the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. I feel quite humbled to be here, and particularly with a verse like this. As we go into the 10th canto, it just gets deeper and deeper and more wonderful and sweet and esoteric. And so I had a thought, and I remembered a verse when I was thinking about this and kind of meditating on my good fortune. And really, in these past 5 days, when I was really hankering just to be back around the devotees and just to be with devotee sangha, where I could feel like I can be myself and be around people who can understand. It's just something, home is where the heart is. And so I thought to share this verse. So this is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Kaviraj Goswami, one of the many beautiful facets of the gem that is the Chaitanya Charitamrita, because all these shastras, all of bhakti, actually, it's like a diamond, and an exquisitely cut diamond, it has many facets. And so some diamonds, they're so pricey, not only because of their quality, but because of the craftsmanship that goes into them. Even in this world, we have some diamonds with 1,000 cuts. And so when light hits that diamond, it's extremely, extremely pleasing to the eye. It's very, very beautiful. And these bhakti shastras, they're like that, but unlimited. So it's like you start to appreciate the diamond and you start to turn it, and you turn it, and you turn it, and you just see more facets and more cuts and more beauty and more intricate depth and decoration. And it never ends. You never come back around to the other side, actually. It's just, even though you're holding it in your hand, you can hold the book in your hand, the Bhagavatam in your hand. Somehow, it's like a paradox. All of these details and wonderful things, they're resting in some relative bit of space. And so one of these facets that we can see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita are some of the spontaneous pranams that Kaviraj Goswami, some of the spontaneous offerings of love and respect that he composes at the beginning and end of many of the chapters. And one that's particularly beautiful, especially in regards to this feeling I was having about, wow, this is a little tough, being only around people who not only have no idea, or we could say not only are slightly averse to this lifestyle, but just have absolutely no concept. So there's no question of being able to relate on a deep level. So the verse is Sri Chaitanya Padambojam Madhupebhya Namo Nama Katanchit Ashrayad Yesham Shwapitad Gandhabhag Bhavet. So Sri Chaitanya Padambojam. So the two lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Madhupebhya. Those people who drink the nectar which is coming from those feet, the sweet honey which is emanating from the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Namo Namaha, I offer my respects to them, to the devotees, to the Vaishnavas, to those who have had the great fortune of being introduced to this sampradaya and this beautiful, deep understanding that we have, to the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, to so much. To those people, Namo Nama, I offer my respects. I fall again and again. Not only Nama one time, Nama, Nama, again and again. I offer my respects to them. Katanchit Ashrayad Yesham, because by attaining their shelter, by attaining not the shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet, which is wonderful, but by attaining the shelter of those who understand the secrets and the sweetness of those lotus feet, and who are constantly engaged in relishing it, Madhupebhya, unto those devotees. I offer my respects to them, because by attaining their shelter, Shwapi Tad Gandhabhag Bhavet, even a dog, Shwapi, even a dog, Tad Gandha Bhag Bhavet, he can become fragrant like a lotus. Now, this can seem, especially for us in the West, maybe not so spectacular, but if we take it in context, in India and in a general, we'll just say in India, dogs are a very, very, very low creature on the totem pole. They carry a lot of disease and they're not very hygienic. There are other animals that keep themselves clean quite well. We can take cats, for example. Cows never smell bad. If anyone has been to India, if you go to a goshala, cows always smell, they have like this kind of sweet smell to them. It's almost like a natural conditioner that they have. When they're healthy, they just always smell really, really good, no matter how dirty they are or anything. They're a very clean animal by nature. Dogs, they're not such a clean animal. And by nature, when they're not fed, they live a scavenging lifestyle. So they just eat whatever they can eat, and they carry disease. Like I said, they're a very unfortunate and low animal. They're very given to the pull of their senses, like most animals, but dogs even more than some others. And so it's quite wonderful that a dog, just by associating with these wonderful people, or we can say a dog-like person, because as Kali Yuga progresses, many people, they lose their qualities, they lose everything that makes a person a person. These things slowly go down as we get sucked into materialism more, into consumerism, into the idea that people are objects and our relationships should just be with innate objects because objects can't argue with us. So this pranam for me, it's taken on a more kind of sweet meaning, because when I reflect on myself and my own qualities, I can see that I'm greatly fortunate. And then I was thinking, as I was thinking about this pranam, when we think about a dog, to take it a little further, in the West, actually, we groom them up and we take them, and I don't know, through my childhood, I had dogs. Through all of my childhood. It was a very, very affectionate thing. And we teach them tricks. We teach them sit, jump. What was it? Post, jump over my arm. We went to Alex's house and they had a dog there. And if you tell him, hey, post, you put your arm out, he'll jump over your arm and then jump back, and then he'll spin around because he knows you're going to give him a treat. So we teach them tricks. We do all kinds of funny things with dogs. And it's very sweet because it's like a bit of a relationship there. And I was thinking of my great fortune that though I was immersed in so much stupidity and so much dog-like behavior, the Vaishnavas have taken me and they've given me a collar, and they tolerate me, and they keep me around, and they even teach me tricks. Sometimes when you have a dog, you teach him to speak. You say, hey, Fido, speak. And he goes, woof, woof. And then you throw him a treat. And it's nothing, there's nothing special about that. It's not like he said anything wonderful. It may even be an abrasive sound. It's not even a pretty sound, but it's a relationship there. And so, like this, the Vaishnavas have taught me to speak. Even though what I say, it may be inconsequential, insignificant. It may even be difficult at times, or maybe even intolerable if I speak something that's out of line. But because my merciful masters, they tolerate me, and because the Vaishnavas keep me around, Khad Ganda Bhagavavat, I've become eligible to be a recipient of their mercy, and to one day become like them. And so for this, I'm extremely, extremely fortunate. I'm extremely fortunate. I apologize if that didn't come out so smoothly, but this was something that I really felt while I was gone. And then on the plane ride home, just before the plane ride, I couldn't get a text message on the plane ride, but just before the plane ride, a friend of mine sent me this verse, and it just kind of kicked this realization off. And so I really feel very grateful to be in all of your association. I hope that I'll always remember that in the Sangha of Vaishnavas, I'm just a dog, and it's my great fortune to be here. So, and then this takes on even more gravity, because right now we're reading from the 10th canto, and me being who I am, being just a small, aspiring devotee, for all intents and purposes, I don't have a right to speak on this, but somehow you are all merciful, and so you've put me up here, and so I'll try to say something. So thank you. So I'll just reread the translation, and then we'll see whatever we can churn. Lord Krishna's hair, powdered with the dust raised by the cows, was decorated with a peacock feather and forest flowers. The Lord glanced charmingly and smiled beautifully, playing upon his flute, while his companions chanted his glories. The gopis, all together, came forward to meet him, their eyes very eager to see him. So one thing that I was thinking about when I came across this verse is the amazing quality of Krishna's ornaments. Because here it says Lord Krishna's hair was powdered with the dust raised by the cows. Ordinarily, we wouldn't consider this an ornament. If we see somebody walking down the street and they're very dirty after a hard day's work, they look a bit shabby. There's dust in their hair and they're a bit unkempt. So this doesn't seem like an ornament. Okay, I can see a peacock feather as an ornament, forest flowers, and the wonderful things Krishna wears. But in the Shastra we hear that Krishna's limbs themselves are actually the ornament of all ornaments. The Sanskrit for that is bhushana, bhushan angam. So Krishna's limbs, they actually make ornaments beautiful. Krishna's hair makes that dust even more beautiful, not the other way around. In this world, if somebody wears something very beautiful, it makes them more beautiful. If somebody wears their Sunday best, they get a little dapper, then you see, wow, this person he looks good. They shine. But Krishna actually has the opposite effect. That whatever he wears, whether it's nice or not, it becomes beautiful. Because his shaktis and his beauty comes through that ornament. And we see this in many places, and it's quite amazing if we think about this. There are many descriptions of Krishna wearing or being ornamented by things which we wouldn't ordinarily consider attractive. The first one, in this verse, he's powdered by the dust raised by the cows. Again, somebody else would look a little shabby. Okay, go take a shower and freshen up, and we'll get ready for the next part of the day. But Krishna, when he comes and he's powdered by that dust, he's more beautiful than anyone who's ever seen him has seen him before. Actually, at every moment, every time a devotee sees Krishna, he's more beautiful than he was before. No matter what situation he's in, no matter what he's wearing, no matter what happens to be on him, he's more beautiful than he was before. Because this is the nature of the infinite absolute. His beauty is ever increasing. His sweetness is ever increasing. His devotees' love for him is ever increasing. So, just to highlight this point, I thought of a couple more examples because this is quite profound for me. That no matter what Krishna wears, no matter what is on Krishna, that inherently becomes the height of beauty. So another example is that sometimes when Krishna returns home, he's wearing a garland. Because in Vrindavan, we can imagine Krishna pretty much always has a garland on. It's Vrindavan, there's all the flowers of all seasons are always blooming practically at all times. And his devotees, the gopis like to make garlands, and the cowherd boys like to make garlands, and there are garland makers in the street, and his parents make garlands, and so Krishna always has a garland. So he comes home, which is the same scenario here. He's coming home with dust on his hair. But sometimes he comes home and he's wearing a garland that's wilted. And I'm sure everyone has seen a wilted garland. It's not so fantastic. The life has come out of the flowers. But it's described that when the gopis see that wilted garland around Krishna's neck, they think, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I've never seen Krishna so beautiful. Because Krishna actually accentuates the beauty of the garland. And no matter what he's wearing, it's beautiful. It's amazing. It's the height of ecstasy. Now there's another reason why that garland is beautiful, but I won't go into that. The third example, in the wrestling arena, Krishna is decorated with the blood of the great elephant, Kuvalayapid. When he goes to kill Kamsa, when he goes to carry out his Mathura Leela, he slays one gigantic elephant and he rips out his tusk and blood sprays everywhere, and then he kills the elephant with the tusk. This is Viraras, very heroic pastime. Krishna actually plays with the elephant for a long time, hides behind his leg, drags him across the arena by his tail, does all manner of amazing things. Mind you, he's an 11-year-old boy at this point. He's very small and tender. The ladies of Mathura, they say, this is not fair. This boy is so tender. He doesn't have any muscle. He's never worked a day in his life. How can they pit him against this elephant and these harsh wrestlers? But Krishna shows his topmost chivalry and his ability to be his topmost strength. And he drags an elephant around by his tail like a calf. Drags him around the arena and plays with him. And then finally, after leaving everybody in the arena in so much suspense, after making it seem like the elephant almost crushes him 3 or 4 times, he rips out the elephant's tusk and kills the elephant with the tusk. It's pretty intense. And then it's described that as he walks up to fight the wrestlers, who are his next match. The blood from the elephant is sprayed across his face and across his body. And it's described that that looks like beautiful rubies, and that no one there in the arena had ever seen anything as beautiful as Krishna with his blood splattered across him. Now, in a regular relationship, say your child. If you see your child covered in blood, you think, oh my God, this is horrible. And you know, it's not compatible. But again, Krishna, whatever he's ornamented with, it becomes the most beautiful thing. And so that blood, it looked like rubies decorating Krishna's body, the ichor from that elephant. It looked beautiful, it smelled beautiful, and people were just thinking, what is this beauty that I'm looking at? They couldn't even process anything else. They couldn't even fully process that. It's just overwhelming beauty. And then, if we go to Kurukshetra, we hear that Bhishmadev, he was throwing arrows very, 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 very harshly at Arjuna and at Krishna, because Bhishmadev took a vow. I will kill Arjuna and I will kill all the Pandavas unless Krishna takes up his weapon. And so Bhishmadev started firing arrows at Arjuna's chariot. And these arrows were striking Krishna because he's the chariot driver, so he's in the front. And they were creating gashes. And they were creating bloody sores and creating so much just ghastly, so many ghastly marks on Krishna's body. And Bhishmadev was thinking, wow, Krishna allowed me to ornament him like this. He took on this form. And actually there was blood on his beautiful dhoti, just so that I could relish this rasa, so that I could experience this with him. And so this is another extreme example of anything Krishna wearing, anything that Krishna wears, becoming the topmost ornament. So, this highlights another deeper philosophical point that's very, very beautiful. In the Upanishads, Prabhupada would often quote from the Upanishads a verse, Raso Vai Saha, that Krishna, he is the embodiment of rasa. And the implication of this, because rasa meaning sweetness and relationship, the implication of this being that Krishna is the perfect person to reciprocate with anyone in any rasa. Any relationship that one wants, the height of that relationship is found in reciprocation with Krishna. So our acharyas, they've commented extensively to explain this, because this is a very important point to understand as far as the difference between atheism and theism, or monism, the idea that everything is one, and ultimately relationships are just a temporary manifestation of this material world, and theism, being that God exists and the individual souls exist, and they're meant to reciprocate with each other. So this verse coming from the Upanishads is very important to understand, because this is one of the clinchers, we could say, one of the trump cards that is laid out by our acharyas to show that the Upanishads are not speaking to an impersonal existence. They're not speaking to a merged oneness. They're speaking about a beautiful, eternal, ever-expanding relationship between God and the individual soul. So this Raso Vai Saha. The whole verse is Raso Vai Saha, Rasa Hyayam Labdva Anandi Bhavati. So Labdva Anandi Bhavati. Labdva means after obtaining. Labha means to obtain. Labdva means after obtaining. Anandi is one who relishes Ananda. So after obtaining Krishna, this rasa, somebody becomes Anandi. They become full of bliss. Bhavati. They become. So the translation here is, the Supreme Lord is the very form of rasa. Having tasted that rasa, or most astonishing bliss, the living entity becomes completely blissful. And Srila Rupa Goswami, the opening verse of his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, begins with Akila Rasamrita Murti, that Krishna, he is the form of all rasa, the Murti, the very form of all rasas. All rasas, all relationships, they're together. And they're somehow, just like I was saying earlier, the Bhagavatam, somehow all of infinity, because the Bhagavatam is Krishna, has made its way into this little tiny space and temporal reality. So in the same way, in Krishna, who has a form, who seems as if he's temporally in one place, he contains all relationships and all capacity to reciprocate with all people at all times. Akila Rasamrita Murti. And our acharyas, they quote one very beautiful verse that also has to do with this pastime of Krishna entering the arena in Mathura when he goes to kill King Kamsa. So the verse, this is 10:43:17. It's Malanam Ashanilninam Naravara Strinam Smaro Murtiman Gopanam Swajano Satam Shitibujam Shashta Swapitro Shishu Mrityu Bojapater Virada Vidusham Tatam Param Yoginam Vrishninam Paradevate Vidito Rangam Gata Sagraja. So this verse, it describes, it's actually a perfect description of Krishna reciprocating with all rasas at one time, which is pretty amazing. At once, simultaneously, he reciprocates with all the different people that were in the arena, in their particular rasa, their particular mood. In inimical moods, in very favorable moods, in all the moods. In some places it said 10, in some places it said 12. So I'll explain. There are two commentaries by our acharyas that give one list for the 10 and one list for the 12, and explain how these different rasas, all at once, just by Krishna stepping into the arena, he reciprocates perfectly with these devotees. So, Malanam Ashanir. For the wrestlers, the mullas, he looked like a thunderbolt. They saw him when he came into the arena, and they thought, oh my God, there's nothing more terrifying than this person who has come here, who we were supposed to fight, who until this point we were thinking, he's 11, he's a cowherd boy, he's not even a kshatriya, we'll crush him. It'll be like nothing, no problem at all. When he walked into the arena, their hearts dropped into their feet. He's like a thunderbolt. He's going to kill us. This was their thought. So this Vira, and then also, because they were inimical, they were demons, Rodra. Vira means chivalry or heroism, and Rodra means fear. Rodra means anger. So because they were demons, they couldn't just think, oh, well, he's going to kill us. And because they were also Kshatriyas, they thought, no, we will kill him. He's only 11. Their intelligence wasn't so good, just like we hear in the Bhagavad Gita, that the demonic people, they take the opposite of what should actually be done. So they thought, no, put that aside. That fear is useless. And then they thought, Rodra, we'll kill him. He's only 11. Even though their senses were telling them, and their internal sense was telling them, he's going to kill you. He's going to kill us. So Malanam Ashanir, the wrestlers, they thought of him as a thunderbolt. Nrinam Naravara. The other people, the other men specifically, Nrinam, in the arena, the men from Mathura who weren't inimical, they saw him as Nara Vara, the best of men. They saw all his qualities and they just thought, wow, who is this person? We've heard of him, but now we're actually seeing him. He's amazing. We are so fortunate. And they actually saw all of Krishna's qualities. And they saw that he's so wonderful because they weren't inimical. So there was no rasa bas of this other inimical feeling with their seeing of his heroism. And so they felt this wonder, this adbhuta ras. Strinam smaro murtiman. Stri means woman. So the ladies of Mathura, they saw smaro murtiman, the very form of Cupid, the most beautiful person, most attractive person that they'd ever beheld, that they'd heard of, and just by hearing of, they had fantasies. But by seeing him, they were just amazed. Who is this beautiful person? This is Krishna? My God. They were just taken aback. So this Ujjvala rasa, just by Krishna stepping into the arena, 3 or 4 steps, they saw this beauty in Krishna. Gopanam Swajana. The Gopas, the elder Gopas and the boys that went with Krishna from Vrindavan to Mathura, they saw their friend, Swajana. He's our guy. So they felt Sakyaras because this is Krishna. When they saw him playing with the elephant, all the coward boys, they'd seen him take down Agasura, Bakasura, so many demons. And so this is just an elephant. And so actually, for them, they felt this Sakyaras, and they felt one of the strongest adjuncts to Sakyaras, which is Hasyaras, laughter. So they just laughed. Look what he's playing with the elephant. He just pretended to almost be crushed by the elephant. This is Krishna. It's just an elephant. What can he do? So he was reciprocating with them like that. Asatam Kshiti Bhujam. There were also many Asat kings. Kshiti Bhujam means kings, and Asat means impious kings. Friends of Kamsa, his advisors, and other people who had come. We haven't been given a name. We can take that it wasn't Jarasandha or Shishupal, but other kings were there. And they all also felt this Rodra and this Vira. They also felt that this person has come to be our end. Intrinsically, they felt he will come, and it's over for us. They'd all heard prophecies that he would kill King Kamsa, and they had all heard that he would rid the world of so many problems, mainly them. And so they all felt this rasa of fear and of heroism. And again, because they're demons, it all being twisted with this rodra, this anger, and their denial that no, he's a young boy, we'll kill him while he's a young boy. The wrestlers will kill him, no problem. They're trained. They can strangle a man in 5 seconds. No, he's finished. He's a young boy. Swapitro Shishu. His parents, they saw him as just a little child, just a little boy. Just like our mothers, any one of us, our mother always sees us like an 8-year-old. No matter who you are, when you go, she always has this idea that you need to be protected and that you don't know what's good for you and you're not able to take care of yourself. It's natural to her identity as a parent. So the same. Actually, Mother Yashoda wasn't there in the arena, but Vasudev, Devaki, and Nanda Maharaj were there. So Nanda Maharaj, because he falls more into the category of the Gopas, he had a little bit more of an understanding, and he was a little bit afraid because he's older, but mostly Vasudev and Devaki, they felt deep Vatsalya ras because it was practically their first time seeing Krishna after he left very early in his life. They got to spend a night with him, and then he left. And so they were seeing him again, so they felt deep affection. And then they also felt karuna ras, because they felt fear. These people are trying to hurt my child. He's only 11 years old. And so in this way, they reciprocated this desire to protect him. These are the greatest wrestlers of Mathura. This elephant, he's wild, he's in rut, his eyes are rolling. He's so angry. He's going to crush my child. And so they felt this karuna ras, this deep feeling of compassion or mercy, that they wanted to protect their child. Mrityu Bhoja Pater. And Kamsa himself, he saw Krishna as death. He knew. Kamsa was so wrapped in fear in this Bhayanaka ras that he was having hallucinations before Krishna got to Mathura. It's said in the Bhagavatam that he would have dreams like riding on a donkey or seeing a man pass by naked and covered in oil, which are very inauspicious signs. But even when he was awake, he would hallucinate all day. He would look up and he would see 3 or 4 suns in the sky, which is supposed to be inauspicious. When he would look at the moon, there would be 10 moons. He would see Krishna in his shadow. He would, everywhere he looked, he saw inauspicious symbols. There would be jackals howling all day. And he would think, am I really hearing that? Is that real? And he would ask around. He was just completely bewildered. He was so absorbed in this fear of Krishna. And so when he saw him, it was the height of that because he knew my death is here. He's come for me. He's come to kill me. And still this anger because he thought, no, the wrestlers will take care of him. The elephant will take care of him. And he hung on to that. Tattvam param yoginam. So there were some yogis there also. In any assembly in Vedic times, there are some sages. The sages, they saw Krishna in Shantaras. They saw him as the Param Brahman. Just like Sanaka Rishi and Sanat Kumar. In Tapaloka, they sit and they meditate on Krishna in their hearts. So the yogis, they saw, he's Tattva Param. This is the person that we meditate on all day. He's come. So they saw him in neutrality in Shantaras. Vrishninam Paradevateti. The Vrishnis, Uddhava, and the rest of the people, the Yadus, who Krishna had come there to rescue from Kamsa's regime, Ugrasen, they all saw him as their worshipable deity. He was the one that they also were meditating on, and they were doing their puja to. And they had been praying that, please come, please help us. So they saw him in Dasyaras, somebody that, yes, we're going to finally get to serve him. We've known that he's the son of Vasudeva for so long, Vasudeva, and we've been waiting for him to come. We've been waiting for him to come. We've heard the prophecies. Vidito Rangam Gata Sagraja. All of this happened simultaneously as Krishna walked into the arena with his elder brother. So this is amazing. Krishna is able to reciprocate with everyone at the same time, at all times. And so our acharyas, they use this verse to back up this statement in the Upanishads that after attaining Krishna, one attains the highest ecstasy. There is no ecstasy higher than this labdhva nandi bhavati, what one gets when they attain true rasa, which Prabhupada, he actually highlights in the beginning of the Krishna book. He explains what rasa is, and he explains all of this in another way, that actually there are so many rasas in this material world, and we're trying to put our desire to relish rasa in temporary things, in other people who will also be taken away from, in objects, in mundane philosophies. We're putting all of our desire for these different rasas in these things, and therefore we're ultimately bewildered and frustrated. But when we actually turn to Krishna, and we repose our loving propensity in Krishna, who is Raso Vaisaha, who is himself the very form of rasa, then we can feel real happiness. Labdha nandi bhavati. We can actually obtain that. But that also brings a question, because this seems a bit abstract. What is that ananda? What is it that one relishes? And so that cycles us back around a bit to the verse in question and the glories of the gopis who came forward to see Krishna when he came home after Dhenukasura Leela and after all of the wonderful things that have happened in this particular day in Braj. So, again, coming to the arena, the ladies of Mathura, those Srinam, Smaramurtiman, who they saw Krishna as the most beautiful man they'd ever seen, ever contemplated, ever imagined. They, as Krishna was fighting, they started to glorify him. And then they started to glorify the gopis. You see, generally when we hear about the gopis, or we hear about the residents of Braj, we hear from somebody who's outside of Braj, like Uddhava, Lord Brahma, the women of Mathura, Kunti Maharani in the first canto of the Bhagavatam. Because devotees, they don't glorify themselves. And so, coming back to this arena, it's actually outside of Braj in Mathura where we hear about what that ananda is that devotees relish, specifically the gopis, but to lesser degrees and different degrees, all devotees relish in this way. So this is from the 44th chapter, which is just near where we were. The other verse was in the 43rd chapter, so a little later on. 44th chapter, 14th verse. What austerities must the gopis have performed? With their eyes they always drink the nectar of Lord Krishna's form, which is the essence of loveliness and is not to be equaled or surpassed. That loveliness is the only abode of beauty, fame, opulence, and it is self-perfect, ever fresh, and extremely rare. So this verse, it sounds like a nice glorification, but it's actually very deep, and our acharyas have broken it down into a series of questions, which systematically show that Krishna is the topmost form of beauty. And there's no one else that one can reciprocate with fully, or one can get, sorry, I worded that wrong. There's nobody, by reciprocating with nobody else, even others, those other avatars of Krishna, like Vishnu, like Varaha, like Nrsingadev, by trying to reciprocate with them, you cannot get anywhere near the bliss that you can get by entering into a relationship with Krishna and serving his devotees. So I'll just break down those questions and the answers that come through the Sanskrit terms, because I found this to be quite breathtaking. So just to read the second half of the verse again. That loveliness is the only abode of beauty, fame, and opulence. It is self-perfect, ever fresh, and extremely rare. So there's one immediate objection that would come up to this, looking at this from a Vedic perspective, looking at this from the perspective of the tattva. One should not say that Krishna is most excellent because of his superior beauty. Rather, the essence of all beauty is his very swarup. So, in the beginning, the objection is that how can you say that he's excellent because of his beauty? And so the ladies of Mathura, they say it's not because of his beauty that he's excellent. He is that beauty. That beauty is intrinsically his swarup. He is that beauty. It's a bit of a technical point. The other questions are a little more forward. But they use the word lavanya saram. The very essence of that beauty is Krishna. So it's not that the beauty augments him. He is the beauty. And then another objection. The beauty of Lord Narayan in Mahavaikuntha, the best of worlds, must be even sweeter than this. Because in the Vedas, in many places, we hear that Krishna is an avatar of Narayan. Now, Kaviraj Goswami in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he deals with this very systematically and explains why both things are correct in that we say that Krishna is the Swayam Rup, he's the original avatar, and particularly the Sri Vaishnavas in South India, they say that Krishna is coming from Narayan. So to put that in a nutshell, in most yugas, Krishna is an avatar of Narayan, but in the Prem Yuga, which is this Kali Yuga, and the Dwapar Yuga that precedes it, the original Krishna, whom Narayan comes from, comes to the material world to enact his pastimes, and that's when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes. But an objection for your average reader of the Vedas who isn't in the Gaudiya line would say, well, the beauty of Narayan is even more because Krishna comes from Narayan. And so, to this objection, the ladies of Mathura, they say the word asamordvam. Urdhva means above or greater than. Sama means equal to, and means not. They say this beauty, what to speak of nothing being greater than it, nothing even equals it. Not even Narayan and Vaikuntha. This is how amazing Krishna's beauty is. And then another objection in the form of a question, but from where did Krishna acquire this beauty? And so then they say, Ananya Siddham. It resides within his very self. This perfection doesn't come from anywhere. It is Krishna's perfection. It's similar to the first point. And then another objection. That may be so, but if the gopis are constantly seeing this one form, it will no longer be so amazing after some time. The Bhagavatam also deals with this in the very beginning. We hear that generally in taking food, there are different types of satisfaction that are relished, and one of those is fullness. And so when you become full, things no longer become palatable. You can take the best thing, say your favorite flavor of ice cream. If you eat enough of it, it'll eventually become distasteful. Or at very best, it won't taste like the first bite. That first bite, when you're really hungry, is really, really good. And after that, it comes down until you're satiated, and then you go away. But here, the ladies of Mathura, they say, not so with Krishna's beauty. Krishna's beauty is anusava abhinavam. It's ever new. Metaphorically speaking, every bite you take, every time you see Krishna, every time you read the Bhagavatam, which is Krishna's form, it grows and it grows and it grows and it becomes more beautiful, more beautiful, more beautiful. Abhinavam, ever new, ever fresh. So then, one could ask, so why doesn't every woman go to Vraj and relish that form? Because again, we're speaking about Ujjvala Rasa. We're speaking about the ladies of Mathura appreciating the beauty of Krishna. And so they use the word dur apam. Dura means very difficult or very far. And so what this means, this word indicates that most people can't go and see Krishna. Actually, Lakshmi Devi tried. The Nagapatnis after the Kaliya Leela, Kaliya Damana, where Krishna chastises Kaliya, they say that Lakshmi Devi tried for millennia to do austerities, to go to Vraj and be with Krishna. And she couldn't. Lakshmi Devi herself, Shri, the consort of Lord Narayan, she was refused entrance. So this is very, very difficult to obtain. And then one may, again, as one should, reach back and say, but philosophically speaking, Narayan is also Bhagavan. So he's full in six opulences, as Parashara Muni has explained in the Puranas. He has all six opulences, supposedly in full. So the ladies of Mathura, they say Ekanta Dhamma. Dhamma means abode, and it also can mean someone who a quality resides in. So Ekanta. Krishna is the only one, Eka, Anta, who the end of these qualities, the very fullness of these qualities, can be experienced. These things like yasha, fame, and shriya, beauty, they can be experienced anywhere other than in Krishna. And then, in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, commenting on this verse, Sri Sanatana Goswami, who yesterday was his disappearance day, yesterday was Guru Purnima, very special day for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Sanatana Goswami, he explains that the verb used in this verse is pibanti. Now, it's a technical Sanskrit point, so I apologize, but this is a present tense verb. So if I say like, I am going somewhere, that means right now I'm in the process of going. So by using this word pibanti, they are drinking to the gopis. The ladies of Mathura speaking about the gopis, saying they are always drinking the nectar of Krishna's qualities and of Krishna's beauty. They're explaining, the ladies of Mathura are explaining that the gopis are always in touch with Krishna and they always see his form and he's unable to go away from them. So this is very, very, very beautiful. But what does that mean? And what is the means by which they do that? And then the answer that comes for that, it comes in the next verse. The ladies of Mathura, they explain more that Sankirtan, that this chanting, particularly Sankirtan, as elucidated by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Sankirtan, it means Kirtan, which is chanting, and Smaranam, which is remembering, coming together. So when one chants, one is consistently remembering. Complete Kirtan, Samyak Kirtan, means that when I chant Hare Krishna, Krishna is there. This is our goal. This is the goal of our line. Some devotees, they argue Kirtan or Smaranam, remembrance or chanting, which one is more powerful, which one is better. But the conclusion of Srila Sanatana Goswami in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, who is our Sambandacharya, the conclusion of Srila Sanatana Goswami is that Sankirtan means that remembering is going on while one chants, while one does their activities. And so the ladies of Mathura, they speak about the gopis, and they say that actually, even when Krishna goes away, they're always with Krishna because they can't help but chant his names. Specifically, they say the ladies of Vraj are the most fortunate of women because with their minds fully attached to Krishna and their throats always choked up with tears, they constantly sing about him while milking the cows, winnowing grain, churning butter, gathering cow dung for fuel, riding on swings, taking care of their crying babies, sprinkling the ground with water, cleaning their houses, and so on. By their exalted Krishna consciousness, they automatically acquire all desirable things. But what is it that they desire? They don't desire anything but to be with Krishna. And so this verse, in an inadvertent way, is saying that they get what they want. Therefore, Srila Sanatana Goswami, he actually explains that the gopis, when Krishna leaves to go out to herd the cows, they don't just sit there and cry in sadness because they can't help but do Krishna Kirtan, and they can't bear to be separated from Krishna for a moment. As soon as he goes out of their sight, they start chanting. And they sing his different names, and they sing with each other, and they do Kirtan all day. And in this way, it's actually joyous, because Krishna is forced to come into that meditation. And there's no difference between Krishna and Krishna's form and Krishna's name. And so when one is in a state of realization like the gopis, they actually experience Krishna. And Krishna is there with them while they do that. So I just wanted to read an excerpt that can very, in a much better way, explain this than I can from the end of the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So this is Srila Sanatana Goswami's commentary on his own book, because he wrote the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and then the book is so deep that he thought, now I have to give a commentary, and so he wrote more commentary than there actually is book to explain the verses of the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So here's one excerpt as translated by Gopi Parandan Prabhu. The gopis are so absorbed in Krishna's glories that they are hardly aware of the effort they expand while working. And so intense is their singing that they actually see Krishna. So just to stop, they don't even know what they're doing. They're churning butter. And actually, Krishna as the Supersoul is just making that happen because they're so absorbed in their chanting. They're so absorbed in their absorption in Krishna. And it's so intense that they actually see Krishna. And then he explains practically what that means. Either by the power of meditation, they see him in their hearts as he plays all around Raj. So they go into such deep samadhi with this Sankirtan that they go immediately to where Krishna is in their minds, and they see what he's doing in real time while they're milking the cows, sweeping the floors, doing this. Because they can't help but be near Krishna. Or they make excuses to take their work into the pastures and directly see him playing there. And we hear, our acharyas have given many places where on some pretense the gopis go out. Oh, we have to take this milk to that village here, there. But actually they're going to meet Krishna. They're going to see Krishna. Sometimes the presence of their elders makes them too shy to sing about Krishna because this is Parakiya Ras, so they're not married to Krishna. As explained here, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they said superficially the gopis were young married girls and therefore they would naturally be ashamed and fearful of casting loving glances at a beautiful young boy like Sri Krishna. This is because if their parents see them, if their husbands see them, if other people see them, they'll think, what is this? This is nonsense. What is this? My wife, my daughter, who's married to this man, she can't do this. So when their superiors are there, they're afraid. And so Sanatana Goswami, he says that because of this shyness, then they fly to where Krishna is by the inner vehicle of their minds, helplessly attracted by Lord Arukrama, who intrudes by stealth into the minds of his best devotees. So this brings another verse from the Bhagavatam. We hear this, Sadhavo hridayam mayam, sadhanam hridayam taham. Mad anyat tena jananti, naham tebhyo managapi. So Krishna is speaking to Durvasa Muni about Ambarish Maharaj and about all of his devotees. He says, I am in the heart of the devotees, and the devotees are in my heart. They cannot think of anything but me, and I cannot think of anything but them. And then in a previous verse, he says, Hyasvatantra iva dvija. O Brahmana, I'm not independent. Actually, I'm bound by the love of these devotees. I go where they want me to go. I'm a puppet in their hands. Krishna tells this to Durvasa Muni. This isn't just poetry. This is the truth. Someone who loves Krishna, Krishna can't help but be bound by their love. And listen to them and be with them. And if they call, he's there practically before they call. So Sanatana Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, he says, helplessly attracted by Lord Arukrama, who intrudes by stealth into the minds of his best devotees. This means he can't stay away. He can't help but be there. As the gopis chant about Krishna, their minds are more and more attracted to him, and gradually they're unable to think coherently about anything else. So it goes from intense to more intense to more intense to complete bewilderment. They can't think of anything else, and then they cry intensely so much in happiness because they're seeing in a mix of happiness and distress. Because on some level they think, where is Krishna? And then on the other level they're seeing him in their meditation. They become completely bewildered, shedding tears of love. They cry uncontrollably, and their hearts go swiftly to join Krishna, wherever he is. In short, they're the most fortunate women because they always see Krishna, always chant his glories, always think about him, and they always feel completely attracted to him in pure love. So this is the women of Mathura who haven't even experienced all of this firsthand. This is their understanding of the glories of the gopis of Vraj. This is what I could string together. I'm sorry if it was difficult or kind of like a patchwork, but it's a very high thing, and so it's difficult to decide what to speak about, and it's also difficult to speak from realization when you're speaking about things that you have practically no realization of. So I hope you can forgive me for that. I'll leave you with the verse, Yat atram skalitam kinchit. Yat atram skalitam kinchit. Vidvamsa purayanti tat. Yat shoshtavam. Yat atram shoshtavam kinchit. Tad guru eva me nahi. So if you've seen anything that's a problem here, or that's difficult, or that wasn't so nice, then please know that that is mine and correct me. And you're all Vaishnavas, and I'm just happy to be here in your sangha. And if you've seen anything nice, tad guru eva me nahi, know that that's my guru's, it's not mine. And so if you appreciate it, then I'll just pass it on. If there are any questions or comments or corrections especially, please, anything, we welcome them. And if nothing, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. You have something? Keshav Kishore. Sorry.
Thank you for the class. I was meditating when you were describing with such rapture about Krishna's beauty. And one thing that always has stricken me is that is so exaggerated that for me is like a focal point to not get distracted to the beauty that Maya always presents us. His beauty is the focal point for us to not get distracted, to be focused on him, because it's not the same beauty that Yogamaya presents us. It is a much more sublime beauty that goes beyond any paradigm what beauty is all about. Because beauty can come in from ugliness. There are ugliness that is absolutely marvelous in many aspects, in terms of artistic or aesthetical terms or paradigms. But Krishna's beauty is sublime and is intended to be like that because it's where our attention has to be focused on. That's what I want to say.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, it's such an amazing point to think about, that actually, like you said, in a very blunt way, beauty can be seen in ugliness. And like we see, Krishna's splattered in blood. That's not a very poetic way to say it, but that's the case. But it's the most beautiful thing you can imagine. He's got open wounds from arrows. And it's so beautiful. How is this? So we pray that please let me have this type of vision. Sri Rupa Goswami, he explains why we don't see it as it is. Why when I walk into the temple I may just see. Sadly, some days I walk into the temple and I just see stones because my consciousness isn't so good. But this is because of me. It's not because of Krishna. It's because I have jaundice. Jaundice is a liver disease that you lose the ability to appreciate the taste of sugar. You know what jaundice is, Jack? Yeah. So so basically your liver becomes afflicted by this bacteria, and then you can't taste sugar. Not only can you not taste it, it takes on the opposite quality. It becomes bitter like anything. Have you eaten Corella yet? It kind of looks like best way I can describe it, looks like alligator skin. It's like a gourd that we eat. Prabhupada very much liked it. I also like it, but it's very bitter. It's really, really bitter tasting thing. Most Westerners, when they first eat Corella, they don't know what it is, and it's just mixed into a sabji or something, and they take a bite, and they go, and they try not to spit it out because it's prasadam, because nobody told them what it is, and they have no idea what they're in for. It's so bitter. And so, or like, just to give you something that you can relate to, if you've ever had an antibiotic, you know that pill taste, that unbelievably bitter, like you want to spit it out, pill taste? that you get from pharmaceutical medication, something like that. So actually sugar tastes like that when you have jaundice. But the interesting thing is the cure for jaundice is to eat little bits of sugar every day and to increase the amount of sugar that you take and do other medicines, but this is one of the things. And by that, your liver, it regains the ability to digest the sugar and your tongue regains the ability to taste it. So Rupa Goswami, he explains to us that we have this jaundice and we just have to take faith that by continuing to hear, by continuing to chant, even if I don't feel it in the moment because I have jaundice, even when I walk in front of the deities, if I just see stones, even though I know intellectually that that's Krishna, if I just hold to that and continue the process, then eventually we start to tip the scale. And once you tip the scale, it's all downhill from there. Once you get a little taste, then it's all downhill from there. So I'll stop here if anyone has anything else. Alex, the microphone, I think it's back over there by the thing, and then I'll do this last question, and then we'll stop because we're 15 minutes beyond 8:30, and I know we try to keep it tight. I apologize.
Thanks, Prabhu. Just appreciating your descriptions of Krishna. It's so nice just to hear. And I've always thought, as a person, like, wow, it'd be so nice to see God. It'd be so nice to see Krishna. And I feel like that's an okay goal to have. But I heard Mukunda Datta Prabhu say in class yesterday that in Kali Yuga, we can't see Krishna, we have to hear Krishna.
Yes.
I was wondering maybe if you could speak, I don't know, a little something about that. It's over time.
We read the Bhagavatam just like this. We hear the narrations. Actually, we hear Shrutek Shita Panta, that the path to Krishna is through the ears. Through seeing through the ears. Ikshata means to see, Shruta means to hear. So we see through the eyes of our ears. So this is how we do it. You see Krishna when you become perfectly perfected. Sometimes a new bhakta comes and they say, yeah, I did acid. I've heard this 10 times or so. I did acid and I saw Krishna. And then I got a book and that's why I came. But this, it's an impossibility because that's not how Krishna does it. It's not how these things work. So we see through the ears. I'm sure Mukunda Datta Prabhu is able to give a much more eloquent explanation of it than I am, but even the gopis here, they're seeing through their ears and through their mouths. They're speaking, they're chanting, they're hearing each other glorify, and then something is coming in their mind. So I'll stop there. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Shri Kishore Kishore ki jai, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Vaishnava Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.